Welcome to this week's episode of eThekwini Matters. My name is Zimbili Mazibuko, your host. Across South Africa, women in leadership continue to challenge deep-rooted stereotypes that question their capabilities and worth. Today, we are honored to be joined by a woman who is not only breaking barriers, but redefining leadership in the public sector. Mrs. Kim Makhathini is the Executive Director of Corporate Services in the C-Team, a key role responsible for employment equity and the well-being of the entire municipal force. Sis Kim, welcome to eThekwini Matters.
Thank you, Zimbili. Greetings and greetings to your viewers.
We are so happy to have you today. Such an honor for us to have you in studio today. This month, we are commemorating Women's Month, and we are looking at the participation of women, especially in local government. Please tell us about, the participation of women in eThekwini municipality.
Thank you for the question, and it's a very important question, and very pleased to respond to it. Employment equity in eThekwini municipality is one of the key focus areas, not only assigned to me, but also assigned to the leaders that lead the municipality, because we've realized that the role of women is just as important, and women have got a lot to contribute in terms of making sure that the communities out there, they experience the services that they should be experiencing, and not only from males but also from females. So we've been assigned this role to make sure that we bring in leadership, female leadership, so that they can come in with the diverse thinking in making sure that they contribute to service delivery. So in eThekwini municipality, we do not only celebrate Women's Day, but we ensure that we only bring people, young leaders, to ensure that they also experience what happens in leadership rooms, so that they can also learn the skill of leading this municipality that we also love.
Talking about women leaders in the C-Team, how has the C-Team progressed in terms of women representation? Because that's very important, especially in leadership roles as well as decision-making roles. Okay.
Prior to my time joining the municipality, for me, the face of the municipality was males. Now I'm actually divulging my age. When I grew up, and when those of who are my age, they would remember, if this was when the municipality would fix everything for you in your house. So if there was a broken window or a broken tap or a broken pipe, you would report it to the municipality, and the people who would come in with overalls would be males.
Yes.
That has changed now. And now I'm in the municipality. When I joined, the picture was still not as looking good, but we now have females in those roles where, if anything was broken, if a road was broken, if your refuse needed to be taken out, we now have those females who are now participating in those roles. They may not be roles in leadership positions, but it's showing that there is an appetite for the city to bring in females to do the work that was usually done by males. Now, in leadership roles, there was hardly any that were in leadership roles. If you, I'm not sure if you are aware, the municipality is about 24,000 employees. Of the 24,000, 11,000 are females. Nothing, it was something that was unheard of before. And we also have, the numbers in top management, it's not there yet. We have 46 against 85, and 457 against 554 at middle level. We're not there yet, but the numbers have improved from what we didn't have before. From what we had a picture of males coming into your house. So the numbers have changed, and we're having a lot of females now taking up leadership position. I'm being interviewed by a female who is in a leadership position. That should tell you a story.
And I'm interviewing a female.
There you go.
It's interesting, Sis Kim. Now let's look at the empowerment of women. How does the C-Team empower women, especially those aimed at career development, mentorship, or leadership roles?
Okay. We have a lot of programs that we've put in place for women leaders. We have Women Development Forum. We recently had one, actually, where we invited females. I think we had it at the ICC. We invited females, female leaders, and female young aspiring leaders, to be addressed by women who've sort of, in inverted commas, made it in our municipality, for them to share their story of what it is like to lead in a municipality. But we do not only have our internal leaders share that with them. We also had people from outside. So we create dialogues for women to engage with other women, to share their stories, to share their challenges of being in leadership positions. We also have networks that we've put in place with other municipalities and other companies which are not in the field that we are in. Because I mean, if you're a leader because I mean, it's your competence, it's your expertise, depending on how you use that. So we also invite people to share their stories, so that the young leaders, future leaders, can learn from those leaders that we would have invited for those dialogues. So we have panel discussions. We also have introduced take a young leader to important meeting. I recently took a young dynamic leader, a youth manager. Actually, we took them to a meeting at the Bargaining Council Exco. To sit with us to see what happens, because that's where we engage with. It's the highest leadership of the city, that where we sit with our key stakeholder, with which is labor, where we discuss issues that affect employees. So we wanted them to have exposure, and they appreciated that. And I'm encouraging all the women leaders, in fact, even men leaders, to take young women to those meetings, such just to have them sit there and just to get exposure. That is how I was exposed to leadership. I was the shyest person, if we ever know. I was someone believed in me, and they would take me to all the meetings. They just say, "Sit there, sit, be quiet, just listen. This is how you learn." And why don't I then pass that on to young leaders? This is what we've implemented currently.
Interesting. There's often a stigma, a scheme attached to women empowerment, with some viewing it as unnecessary or preferential. What's your thought on that?
It is very true. Like women leadership should not be seen as like as something that you are there because you are women. You are women. You are women. We should educate and have awareness programs to educate people, or men, to say that the role that women play is just as important. You know, we should not frame gender. We should not frame it as something that is preferential, but we frame it as promoting gender equality. And it is important for us to do that. We also need to talk about sexual harassment. It's one of the important things or discussions that we should have, because you may have females that have been in positions, or they are aspiring to be in those positions, and for some reason they're battling to get there, and they probably think, if I sleep with this line manager, I'll probably get promoted. You shouldn't do that. Let's discourage that as men and female and females in the organization. Fortunately, our organization has got what we've put in place. We've got a, a men's forum where we engage with men, where we challenge their stereotypical thinking around the role of women. And I've attended those sessions. I think there's one coming up. It's in September, where they actually talk about this the fears of being led by women. Not really fears, but they they share how they are uncomfortable, because for them, how they were brought up, it's not their fault. How they were brought up is the role of women is in the kitchen, because when they go home, their wife cooks for them, their wife tends to the kids, and they come here, it's a woman that says, "You shall do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5." It's difficult for them. So I listen to the engagements, and they share how difficult it is, because for them it's like, it's so uncomfortable. I cannot be. We've even had males that have actually, uttered the words to say that I will not be led by a female. But we're getting there. We're getting there. There's a lot of acceptance now. We're not 100% there. There's a lot of acceptance, and there's a lot of support from males. In fact, even on motivations for appointments, we get a lot of males now motivating for females to be appointed in key positions. But we're not there yet, because what I'm picking up is that most of the motivations are in the levels where it's still a feeder to the key post, but it's all good. Rather half a loaf than nothing at all. You know what I mean? So for me, it's a positive. That's these programs that we have in place, where we have men talking about this, and we have also diversity and inclusion, because obviously the role of women, we need to share what it is that we bring to the table. We don't just bring pretty faces. We also have brains, and we want men to also trust the advice that comes from us as well. So that's slowly we're getting the support from men and the leadership from in our organization.
Sis Kim, what are some of the programs that we have as eThekwini municipality to empower women?
Um, some of the other programs that we have, in fact, some of them are not even focusing in locally. We have programs that expose our female leaders to international platforms. Where, for example, if I can just use my example, I was fortunate to be sent to the UN to speak about gender issues at the UN. I was part of the panel. It's one of the areas where the city exposes its women leaders. We also have career expos that we have, that the city supports us, where we bring in the young females. It's as well as boys, but there's mostly young females who come in to be educated about careers that they can choose, so that, depending on what they want to become, they are guided in terms of what subjects they need to choose. We also collaborate with institutions where we encourage young girls and boys as well to study subjects that were previously taken up by boys, or men, so that they are encouraged to go into those fields. They can lead in the engineering field, they can lead CSW, for example, just to show that there's that support from the city, and women are just as capable to run those roles. We also have, fortunately, we also have females that run portfolio committees, female members of EXCO. So our city actually is very focused in making sure that we support the leadership of women in our city, because we understand that they have a different role to play. They bring in diversity in thinking. They bring in the softness. I always say we bring in the softness because of our roles that we play in our homes. Just a challenge which I did not also mention was it's the work-life balance. Which is one of the challenges, that because we have different roles that we play a role at home of being a mom, and you play a role of being a leader, and you can't separate those roles. You still have to have that balance. But in the municipality, what we're looking at the moment, we're putting together a policy that looks at the hybrid type of work environment. We still that the policy is still being discussed at the moment, but we will share it in due time. So those are the initiatives that we actually put in place to make sure that we create that balance and afford that balance for our women leaders. We've also recently done a survey. I think it's currently underway. The survey around having to work around the work-life balance, so that our women contribute as much as what they're expected to do. So the survey is about whether we should be having a childcare facility, because I mean we have that role that was sort of imposed on us by God. I mean, and unfortunately, the child rearing is imposed on females. And so, if the city then supports us in having a childcare facility, we're not going to worry about rushing home to cook and playing that other role. So that balance is going to be corrected by making sure that that I can still carry on and work around 6 7, and my daughter or son is still being looked after in the childcare facilities that is supported by our city. So we're very grateful that if when that survey is done, and we would like the city to support us in that initiative.
If you had to give an advice to a young aspiring woman, what would you say?
Whew, yeah, you're taking me back to my young age. Is you observe, yes, listen, take as much, learn as much from people who have been there, but don't be scared to raise your voice. Don't be scared to disagree, because I mean, if there's nothing wrong with disagreeing, but offer a different viewpoint. So that is what I would, and also learn all the time. So be open to learning all the time, and be respectful. Be respectful to your leaders. Speak in the manner that you would want to be spoken to. Nothing beats that.
Thank you very much. I like that. And Sis Kim, we acknowledge the fact that, there are challenges. I mean, there'll always be challenges. But what gives you hope?
What gives me hope is that, listen, I'm a very optimistic person, very optimistic. I always look on the positive side of things. And we've got lots of programs, the ones that I've mentioned earlier. And I said, all of those programs that we have in place, um, they're yielding fruit. You can see the numbers of females that have been appointed in key roles. I mean, we have females in roles that were previously held by males, and they're flying. Those females are flying, and we've also got other females who are in line for the new positions. Hopefully, city manager, if you're listening, the key positions that have been created out of the restructuring process. Please, city manager, I beg you, prioritize females. We've got very capable females. I don't want to mention them by name because there's lots of them, but we've got very capable females that can fulfill those roles, and then they can make a difference. But once you have appointed those females, give them a seat at the table, listen to their advice, trust their advice, and also make sure that where their voice matters. Because what we're also picking up is this subtle exclusion. It's not happening everywhere, but there's subtle exclusion for females. And this, as I said, we're still learning. There's still those men who still believe that, we've promoted you, we put you there, but I'll listen to a male's advice. I'm not going to take your advice. Put us there, but make sure that you also provide support as well, because we also need support.
Yes. Yeah. Would you like to add anything else?
Just to say, the support that I'm talking about, we do not only need that support from males, but we also need support from females. And there are a lot of females who are providing that support through those programs that I spoke to you about. But there are those females who also provide support outside of the formal programs. We have females in our organizations that pray for other females who are going through challenges, and they provide the support. And others just pick up the phone and say, listen, I know you're going through whatever you're going through. Just know that I'm here to support you. But also, in terms of making sure that we promote women development, we will be launching a women development program called, we'll call it ADU. So ADU stands for Accelerated Development Program for eThekwini Women. So it will be focused on grades 9 to 13. So we'll call those the group the teacher group, because you're teachering there, you're only coming in. The second part, which is grades 14 to 15, would be the Nyagaza group. So you've featured, now you're like, you Nyagaza, and you're shaking a little bit because you've learned something. And then the third one would be the Karaza group. So that would be from 15 and above. So now you've featured, you've Nyagaza a little bit, now you are Karazi, because now you have learned a lot. We now want you to practice your leadership skills and share your learnings with the other females in the organization. It will be NQF aligned, and also it will be encourage participative learning. So we'll give people real projects to work on, so that they get that exposure. If they have to go and present to EXCO, we'll have them present at EXCO. We'll have to present at EMC. We'll have them present at EMC. EMC, for you that do know, it's our executive management committee meeting, where they executive leadership, administrative leadership of the organization sits. So we'll give them that exposure. So that's the program that you'll be putting in place to make sure that we expose young female, because we have dynamic young female in our organization. So yeah, that's what we're doing to make sure that we promote the women in our organization.
Thank you so much for this interesting conversation with you today, Sis Kim.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was Kim Makhathini, who is the Executive Director of Corporate Services at eThekwini Municipality. My name is Zimbili Maziwogo, and from myself and the entire team, it's goodbye. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe.